Bells chimed and moments of silence helped mark a day our country will never forget. It's now 19 years since the September 11th attacks. This morning, people gathered in New York City at the September 11th Memorial Plaza to remember the nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives. Vice President Mike Pence attended today's memorial, as well as Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden. Tonight, double beams of light will be turned on at that site to honor all who died when the Twin Towers collapsed.
The heroes of Flight 93 are an everlasting reminder that no matter the danger, no matter the threat, no matter the odds, America will always rise up, stand tall, and fight back.
President Trump was in Shanksville, Pennsylvania today, where the passengers of Flight 93 helped bring down the plane so it would not reach the Capitol. This year's ceremony was shorter and closed to the public because of the pandemic. The small crowd paused for a moment of silence, and the names of each of the passengers and crew of Flight 93 were read aloud.
On September 11th, 2001, terrorists hijacked 4 civilian aircraft and crashed them into the towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, the Pentagon outside Washington, D.C., and in a field in southwestern Pennsylvania.
Members of Congress had a ceremony outside the Capitol. Bells tolled at 8:46, the precise moment American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The sounds of bells were followed by a moment of silence to honor those who died and were injured.